sidewalks in shambles, but a ballot measure aimed at fixing Denver's crumbling walkways may end up costing you more than you might think.
I just think it's unfair. I think it's an undue burden with people who take care of their properties.
Why some homeowners would pay hundreds more than even their neighbors.
Heroism caught on video. Never before seen footage shows a Lakewood police agent bringing a deadly shooting spree to an end.
Plus, a prairie dog problem.
I definitely think they need to be relocated.
Why a plan to do so is causing a stir in Lafayette.
And we begin tonight with a new property tax hike that voters in Denver will decide on come November.
So tonight, Denver City Council approved the proposal to raise property taxes to fund the Denver Public Library. It now goes to voters, and if approved this fall, the new tax would cost about $11 per $100,000 value of your home. So if your home's valued at $500,000, it's going to cost you about $50 a year. The city says this will raise more than $30 million and in part will be used to increase staff salary and improve service for customers who have no internet access.
And there's more. Denver voters this fall are already being asked to decide whether to fund improvements to the city's sidewalks. An
initiative on the ballot would add a twice yearly fee for property owners. It's a charge per foot of sidewalk on their property that for the average household would come to about $107 annually.
However, the more sidewalk you have, the more you'll pay. As Denver 7's Rob Harris is learning, some homeowners could be looking at bills closer to $1,000 per year.
This is an example of the peninsula.
Martin Vigil has lived in this house in southwest Denver for 30 years. And for most of that time, he's liked his unique lot. He calls it a peninsula, surrounded by streets on three sides.
I have enjoyed it. I have no problems. I take care of my stuff.
But he might not be so crazy about it in November if voters approve the Denver Deserves Sidewalks ballot initiative.
I've got a lot of sidewalks, so if they charge per linear foot, I'm going to pay more than my neighbor across the street who only has the front section of their sidewalk. And I don't think that's fair.
Under the proposal, Vigil could be looking at a bill of about $620 per year, according to a document prepared by Denver City Council member Kevin Flynn.
I think there needs to be a lot of discussion about the disparate impacts of this.
Councilman Flynn started doing some math for homes in his district to see what families would be paying if the initiative passes. He found several examples well above the $107 average. Some even close to $1,000 per year or more because they're on corner lots or they back to a main arterial road. He asked us to meet him at this home of a family with an especially high tab because they back to Sheridan.
The fellow that owns this house is going to have to pay nearly $900 every year. So it concerns me from an equitable standpoint that some people who happen to have very nice sidewalks that won't need replacing for 50 years nevertheless are going to have to pay almost $900 every year without getting a benefit from it.
Many Denver sidewalks do need attention. According to the city, about 40% of sidewalks are either missing or too narrow. And in low-income areas, it's almost half, which can especially impact those with disabilities. At current funding levels, it would take around 400 years to build and fix them all. But Martin Vigil, looking at a potential bill nearly 6 times the projected average, will be voting no on this proposed fix.
But I do believe that if they have sidewalks in Denver and they're not disability access, the person who owns the property should take care of that. But why should I pay for other people's sidewalks?
For Denver 7, I'm Rob Harris.
This ballot initiative includes a 20% discount for neighborhoods identified by the city to have lower income and less investment in public infrastructure. And we have a link to all this information for you on thedenverchannel.com.
We are also monitoring developments at the Aurora City Council meeting. City leaders tonight approved a ban of the use of cool weather turf at any new developments and any properties being redeveloped. Now, this all has to do with water use. City leaders believe by restricting non-functional grass, it can cut the city's outdoor irrigation usage by half. Aurora becomes the first city in Colorado to approve such a ban.
Aurora City Council also tonight approved spending $95,000 to hire a firm to help recruit new police officers. Epic Recruiting, an Arizona-based company that specializes in increasing diversity in law enforcement. Well, increasing diversity in Aurora Police Force is a key component of the city's consent decree. A report last September found that APD's hiring practices do not reflect that city's diversity.
An affidavit shows the shooting death of a 13-year-old boy in Longmont may be connected to a gang fight. Zay Rosales, 15-year-old Elias de Herrera, and a third teen were walking through Kensington Park Saturday afternoon when they were shot at by someone in a car. Rosales was hit in the chest and died. De Herrera was shot in the leg and survived. The third teen was not injured. The car and its driver, 19-year-old Yair Solis, were found minutes after the shooting. And according to the affidavit, the teens told police that ever since a gang fight at the Boulder County Fairgrounds, members of one gang had been sending threats on Instagram, including Solis. Tonight, Solis remains in the Boulder County Jail and he faces charges of murder and attempted murder.
Tonight, we are getting a look at never-before-seen video showing the heroic actions of a Lakewood police officer stopping a gunman on a deadly shooting spree.
And that gunman killed 5 people in Denver and Lakewood before Agent Ashley Ferris brought his spree of terror to an end.
Denver 7's Jessica Porter joins us now and breaks down this newly released video of truly her heroism.
Yeah, it's a crime spree that truly shocked 2 communities that night. Today, both Lakewood agents who fired on that suspect are cleared by the district attorney. It's been over 8 months, and we're finally seeing and hearing how it all unfolded. The 911 calls are terrifying.
I am at Vanson, Alaska in the Belmar Shopping Center. Someone just shot at a cop.
The urgency on police radio equally unnerving.
If you have your tac vests, put them on. Dispatch, we're hearing shots fired. We're hearing shots fired.
But the heroism of one Lakewood agent prevented more bloodshed in the community.
I told him, I'm hit, Alaska, please hurry, I'm hit, send medical.
The night of December 27th, 2021, Lyndon McLeod shot and killed 3 people in Denver in various locations before fleeing to Lakewood.
Yeah? Well, I guess who's in charge?
Where he continued his murder spree, killing 2 others.
Me and my wife were in the shop. We were about to get tattoos. We were just standing there, and this guy in this chute and this rifle came in, shot him 3 times.
Hi, we're in Hyatt House, Lakewood. Thank you.
How do you know for sure that she was shot?
Because he shot, like we heard it. We saw him walk up to her. We thought he was the police, and he fired 2 times.
At the Belmar Shopping Center, the gunman got into a shootout with Lakewood agent Brianna Hagan. Hagan was not hit.
He's still shooting, shots fired off from agents and suspects still running.
Finally, Lakewood agent Ashley Ferris confronts the gunman. He shoots her in the abdomen, but she shoots back while lying on the ground, killing him. We spoke to her in May as she was honored for her bravery that day.
The best thing he could have done was display his weapon to me, because at the time I didn't see his weapon. I didn't know who he was. He had police identifiers on. What if I had let him walk away? But instead, he made the choice to fire his gun at me, and he sealed his fate that way.
The district attorney said Ferris demonstrated, quote, particular heroism in returning fire while gravely wounded herself. Agent Ferris is still recovering and is on desk duty, but is eager to return back to patrol. Shannon.
Wow. Jessica, thank you for that. A former Denver health paramedic indicted on nearly 60 federal charges for allegedly stealing vials of fentanyl. Denver 7's C.B. Cotton broke this story today. According to court documents, Christopher Pattinson is accused of stealing 50 vials of fentanyl between November 18 and this past January. Pattinson claimed those vials went to patients when he actually, they say, took them himself. Pattinson has since been fired. Now, Denver Health says no patients were harmed by Pattinson's actions and no patients went without medication. And the hospital adds that it has enhanced protocols for opioid control following this incident.
Striving for more representation in Denver classrooms and student success. On the first day back for DPS students, leaders from the Latino community are rallying support for the district's strategic roadmap. And part of that strategy calls for recruiting a teaching force that reflects the DPS community. Numbers from the district show more than half of DPS students are Latino, yet fewer than a quarter of DPS's 4,400 teachers are. Well, these leaders also called on the DPS board to set aside their differences.
The board's actions of recent are not welcome, and we ask that they start thinking of the community they represent and not themselves.
And we urge the DPS board to work together in a productive and respectful manner for the sake and interest of DPS children, teachers, families, and the community at large.
The group also called for more support for bilingual students, fair bargaining practices, and mental health support.
Highs back in the mid-80s today. Coming up, I'll let you know which days will be in the 90s.
Protecting your mail and your money.
I was like, oh my God. How did he do that?
A Colorado man says his state tax refund ended up all the way in Ohio. How it happened and what you can do to make sure it doesn't happen to you.
plus an apology from the head Bronco after Saturday's beatdown in Buffalo.